So here are some things I think it's important for us to address about Rodney Reed. One, the campaign to stay the execution of Rodney Reed and exonerate him was launched by supporters of Rodney Reed who believe him to be innocent of the murder of Stacey Stites. This, I'm going to call it propaganda, though, was presented to people like you and me with a very decisive, clear-cut intention to not include the entire bigger picture of Rodney Reed as he presents as a criminal and danger to women. It is imperative that we acknowledge this because I know that many of us really fancy ourselves just good people. Like if there's an opportunity to help people, especially like in a very basic way, like signing a petition or donating, like we'll put ourselves to that, no problem. So when the Rodney Reed case was presented to us, and if you're someone like me, you read the materials that were presented with it and you felt, okay, like none of this seems, awry, you went ahead with the support. So it is very, it feels very duplicitous that those who were pushing for this, not just his family, but individuals who fancy themselves activists, were doing so with the knowledge that this person, Rodney Reed, is not just accused of, but has been linked to previous rapes via his DNA being discovered within the victim. And he has been ID'd by a woman who escaped him. And the rape cases that were, and so you're asking yourselves, well, why wasn't he convicted of those? Well, 3 of those cases did not go to trial because he had already been convicted of capital punishment. So essentially he was already on death row, so they didn't bother to try these other cases. Now, I don't know if you're like me. I'm like, well, why is because he's on death row mean that these other cases didn't deserve justice? That is another mystery of our justice system. However, I think it is very important to note, though, that this is somebody who in 2 cases, one in Wichita Falls and one Stacey Stites in Bastrop, Texas, cited that the reason his semen was found in the body of a person who was raped and killed was because he was having a previous relationship with them. He was having a current relationship with them that unbeknownst to anybody else was going on because that person was a white woman and he was a black man. Now, let me tell you about my intuition. I don't know about y'all, but it is very bizarre to me that this nigga loved white women so much that he put his life in danger in order to sleep with these women. Because remember, Stacey Stites was engaged to a police officer at the time. So he would be putting himself in danger. But he was somehow carrying on a relationship with both of these 2 women. And both of these women were raped and murdered. And he was somehow exonerated the first one in Wichita, Texas, in Wichita Falls, because they believed him in the story that this actually was going on under clandestine means because of their racial differences. However, in the Bastrop case, that obviously didn't fly. And the DA says that, she realized that like this is a pattern, like he's using the same tactic. When you see things like this, like it's very like alarming for obvious reasons. But what alarms me most, though, is the people who felt like this was not pertinent information that needed to be included in their assertion to the masses that we should rally behind this person. Now, in their point of view, they feel that regardless of whether he committed those crimes or not, he should not be killed. He should not be on death row. That's a different fight. You understand what I'm saying? It's a different fight to say, like, let's fight to get this person who is on death row not killed because we don't believe in the death penalty. That's a different fight than this person should not be killed because they're innocent. I think it's also very important to note that this person has been attached to something as heinous as the rape and assault of a 12-year-old girl, where his semen was allegedly found within her body. These are not things that I feel like you can overlook. And there are people who pushed this cause in front of people like you and me. And now I feel like a dick because I also carried this narrative through thinking I had done research when really I had simply just been presented with very skewed propaganda. And it once again presents us with the quandary of how do you really trust? How do you really operate as a good person? How do you really function in society when even the attempts at honestly trying to bring people to freedom are shady and shitty? And when you find out that the people who have banded with those people to actually help bring this narrative to the internet, when you find out that they knew about this information but felt that it wasn't necessary to be entered into the conversation. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I felt like that was very necessary information to be brought into the conversation. And now that it has been brought into the conversation, I wholly regret lending my name in the defense of this man's freedom from the death penalty. I wouldn't say that I have strong feelings either way in terms of the death penalty when someone is guilty. I will say that when someone is not guilty, I have strong feelings about the death penalty. However, there simply is not enough to exonerate this man. And the fact that he is linked, not accused of, linked, his DNA is linked to several other rapes, that there are women who are alive today to speak about how he raped them. The fact that he was actually had 9 appeals, all of these things were left out. That is incredibly disconcerting to me. Incredibly. And it should be to you. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention because I know that we've seen a lot of people lend their names to this cause, and people of note, whether on a internet or on a entertainment, scale. And it makes me say once again how important it is that we do real research and that we learn how to do real research and that we take the time to do real research. And I want to apologize because I feel like I failed my followers by not going as extensively into the research of this person as I should have before I lended my name to supporting him. Because the truth of the matter is that if we are going to say that Bill Cosby had a number of accusers and should be tried in a court of public opinion as well as a court of law, if we're going to say that R. Kelly, same thing, then why are we not applying that same concept to somebody who has not only just been accused of, but has been linked to several rapes? Just because there's a bigger conversation around this idea of some people think that he's innocent and should not die. And some people think that because he's on death row, that they don't believe in death row. No, I feel like it is very important to dichotomize those two issues. And I think it is mostly important that when you are presenting to the people things of this nature, of this sensitivity, of this temerity, I'm not sure if I use that word in the right sense. We have to have a certain level of ethics about the wholeness of the picture we're presenting. And so anybody who is not acknowledging that and who was out here pushing for you all to get behind the state execution and exoneration of this man is somebody you should question from this point forward in terms of who they are, what they're about, and why you should be listening to them.